Thank you so much for having me back. My name is Nick Niehaus, if you haven't met me before. Typically, I speak about video, so I run a company called Business Video School. We're going to pivot a little bit today. It was kind of fun listening to Quentin share all his expertise. The good news is, I think I agreed with every single thing that he said, so that's awesome. It's always good to know theories are on point. Does anybody not hear me in the back? Anybody not hear me? Somebody said they couldn't hear me. So somebody's lying because you didn't raise your hand.
Afraid to.
I'd rather yell at you, but I can put the mic on if we need it, all right?
Put the mic on.
I'll put it on. And then I'll have to talk quieter.
That goes in your pocket.
Yeah.
Save your energy.
Well, now I got two mics on. It's going to be a little lower energy now. All right. So we're going to get started here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a few different steps, all right? So I'm going to warn you before I get started that there are going to be some technical things that you will see. That doesn't mean you have to understand them or know how to do them, but I don't want you to get scared, all right? Because we're going to see some computer code. Has anybody ever seen computer code? Right? Anybody ever watched The Matrix, right? The stuff, that was not computer code. That was like something they made up that looked cooler than normal computer code, right? But we're going to see some computer code today. In particular, you're going to see Python computer code. Has anybody ever seen Python? Can you? All right. Good. All right, cool. So some of you are not as much of an amateur as I was when I started doing this, because I had actually never seen or worked with Python code before in my life. So I'm starting there with a little warning, just so you don't get too surprised here in a few minutes when you do see some code. The good news is you're not going to have to know anything about it. All right, so I'm just a little bit of a forewarning for you there. So let's get started. We're going to be talking today about what I call adaptive lead magnets. So let's start there, all right? Does anybody know what a lead magnet, not an adaptive lead magnet, but what a standard lead magnet is? Has anybody heard that term? Just quick show of hands if you heard that term. Okay, so I only see like maybe 10% or so, okay? Let's do it one more time. Have you heard of the word lead magnet? Okay, now it's like 30%, okay. You gotta raise your hands. You gotta know what you know, right? Otherwise I'm gonna teach you stuff you already know, and that's boring. So I'll go over it. There was a lot of you that don't, right? Well, so what is a lead magnet? Anybody that knows what it is want to answer that for us? What's your description of what a lead magnet is and how you use it in your business? Yeah, over here.
A tool that attracts leads to your resource or whatever it is that you're offering.
Absolutely, right? So it's generally going to be something that you're going to give people, something of value. Yeah, you want to add to that?
Typically solve some sort of issue. They have a problem that they're seeking out for service or products for business or whatever.
Perfect. Yeah, so give me an example. Do you have that you use in your business or have before?
I have a Facebook group, so I leverage that a lot in terms of my business. So that's how I've built my business over time. So lead magnets that wise, I actually use a lot of things that have nothing to do with real estate.
Oh, interesting. Give me an example of something that doesn't have anything to do with real estate.
A restaurant or a new place opening that is coming soon, things like that, and it kind of gets back to that real estate piece.
Cool. Why would you do that? Why would you give someone information that's not just about real estate?
To all these questions. This is why you're asking me.
Yeah, I know. I see what you do. So we're Facebook friends, right? So I know what you're doing.
I do it because, again, we'll come back to real estate. I've 15 people in here because I just love people and I love talking to people. And I'm not obviously afraid to look like an ass. So
that's key. You gotta be,
if it's that hook, eventually it's, hey, I saw your kid does this, or I saw that you're in real estate, my aunt's cousin's brother's cousin selling your house, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I've never led real estate first. Those are the lead magnets I use, which might be a little different. But
No, yeah.
It could work with anybody.
I love that. Yeah. So here's the basic concept, right? I think we've got some good examples there. The point of a lead magnet is I want to make something valuable that you will be willing to give me your contact information in exchange for, right? So a lot of times we'll say it's free. It's not really free, right? Because you know what's going to happen. If you give me your email, your phone number, you're probably going to get some emails. You might get a text or two, right? So it's not quite free. but we're not paying anything, which is sort of a psychological trick. Whenever somebody thinks something's free, even though they are giving you something, they're going to be more likely to want to give up that info, right? So we call it a lead magnet because that's a lead, right? We get somebody's contact information, we put them in our CRM. Just quick show of hands here. If somebody were to sign up, say, hey, I want your free thing, here's my name and number, do you have a database you'd put that information into? Just let me know how many people have a CRM of some kind, an Excel sheet, something you're keeping track of this. All right, so most of you are, okay? So I would imagine if you're doing that, you can inherently understand the value of getting someone's contact information, right? So we're going to kind of build from there. So typically, a lead magnet is something static, right? So what that means is that a lead magnet is something that everybody gets the same, doesn't change, right? So a very generic version of this that you may have seen other agents or maybe you've tried in your business might be something like a seller guide, right? Does anybody have like a free guide they give to people thinking about selling their house, right? That's pretty common in real estate. And it's going to have advice and it's going to have tips and tricks and it's going to have, here's the first 5 steps you should take to get ready to sell your house. The idea is if I can get someone to ask me for that guide, either by offering it to them, making it available on my website, there's a lot of different ways to do that. And they say, yes, I want it, and they give me their contact information, what does that tell me about that person?
They're getting ready to sell their house.
They're getting ready to sell their house. Why would I want that otherwise? There's some people who might be curious, right? Just want to see what you wrote in there. There's always going to be a few other real estate agents. Yeah, I want it so I can copy it, right? Most of those people, we do rip off and duplicate, R&D, right? I heard that one a lot. So there's going to be that, but most of those people, that's a bit of an indication, not a guarantee, but an indication that they're thinking about selling. Now, you can go even further up the funnel. So what that means is you can go even earlier in someone's real estate needs. So if somebody's thinking about selling their house in the next 6 months, they might need your seller guide. If they're not thinking about selling their house, though, those are the other examples, right? I can make, let's say I know something about my customer, right? I know my ideal customer is a young family with children, because those families tend to need a bigger house at some point, right? Like, oh shoot, we just had a 3rd kid we weren't planning on. Now we need an extra bedroom. We need to sell this house and buy a bigger one. Does anybody work with families like that? Is that attractive to anybody in here? A few of you, okay? So in that case, we might say, well, what would be nice is if I could get in front of that person even earlier, before they even start to think, before they know they're having that 3rd kid, is there something I can provide them that gets them into my database that I can then nurture that relationship, right? Most real estate transactions happen because of some kind of relationship that you form. Maybe it's in person, maybe it's virtual. It's becoming more and more virtual every year. But that's another level, right? So you can have, let me give you an example, right? Like I have a 1.5-year-old daughter. So if you put out a document right now, it says like 10 ways to keep your toddler active, right? Occupied is the word I'm looking for, right? 10 ways to keep your toddler occupied. I will want that document, right? Because I need things to keep her busy because she is super active and she's always looking for attention and she's a lot of fun. I love her to death. That might be useful to me, right? Or 5 of the best playgrounds in St. Louis, right? That's the kind of thing I might like. So point is, lead magnets can be something that indicates to you that someone is in need of your service in the short-term future, or they can even be sort of broader. They can be things that attract the kinds of customers you want to attract. The problem is, in order to make those kinds of lead magnets, you have to know who you're trying to attract. And a lot of times when I ask real estate agents, who do you want to attract as a customer? What do you think most real estate agents say to that question? Everybody. Anybody who wants to buy a house. So anybody selling a house, right? Anybody have an idea why that is a dangerous answer to that question?
Because you're shooting buckshot to everything.
So you're going after everybody, right? And what are some of your competitors doing?
Same.
Well, they're all doing the same thing, so you're just making a lot of noise they're making, especially if you're R&D in their stuff, they're all saying the same thing, right? But what are some of them doing? The ones that are a little bit more marketing savvy. Any ideas what they're doing?
Target marketing.
They're doing target marketing, right? They have a niche or niche, you want to say that, right? They trying to attract that they specialize. So we're going to go a ton into that today, but that is very helpful for what we're going to go over, which is I'm going to show you how to make your own adaptive lead magnet. You don't have to be able to do it by today's class, but it might be interesting and curious to you. It's going to be easier if you know something about the people you want to attract. right? So if you know, and this doesn't mean everybody, so it's like, well, what about all the other folks? I don't want to push them away. You're still getting other customers, right? The person that knows you 10 years and has been looking forward to working with you, but doesn't have kids, is not going to not hire you because you made a few videos about what to do with young children or something. Right? Like, that's okay. But if somebody has a family and they start to see you talking about the things that matter to them, if they see you making a lead magnet that's designed for them, they're going to think you're an expert at helping people just like them, right? And that's where marketing is heading. It's always been heading in that direction, but it's getting a lot easier. So that's what a lead magnet is. I kind of wanted to establish that first. What is an adaptive lead magnet? Adaptive lead magnet is going to the customer in a customized way, right? So let me go back to that example of the, because it's easy to think of for me, for my daughter, right? So let me say you have, the guide that's got some ideas for places to take my daughter, right? Well, what if I can customize that guide based on where I live, right? What if I can customize that guide based on things I already know about her, right? Like, I know that she can climb certain structures and others are sort of too big for her at this point, right? So certain parks, certain playgrounds might be a better fit than others, right? What if I can tell a computer what she's interested in, and it's going to modify the recommendations it's making, right? So that's what we're trying to do here. That's what an adaptive lead magnet does, is it uses AI to give every single person a completely customized. So in the real estate sense, let's imagine we have a seller guide, and it's got some advice in there, and there's some tips and tricks. That's all really good. Well, if I know where that person lives, if I know what neighborhood they're in, if I sat down and had a conversation with them, do you think I'd be able to customize that advice a bit more for them? I hope you would, right? Like, what's the point of talking to them if you're not going to give a more custom answer to their problem? AI can do that. It's actually really good at doing that, right? AI can do that in seconds, not hours, or, it might take me 30 minutes to create a custom plan for somebody. AI can do it in maybe a minute. All right? AI can be trained to even have some of your expertise. So if you know that certain areas, certain features about them, or that, hey, one thing I've learned after 20 years in this business is that there's a certain feature in a house that you need or you don't need based on X, Y, and Z, you can put that kind of information into your own AI tool now. And that means that the answers that AI tool gives are completely customized to you and your business, in addition to being completely customized to the customer, right? So I always find these kinds of things are hard to understand conceptually until you see them. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example, right? And I'm actually just going to pull this one up on the computer here and show it to you. This is why I had to do some setup earlier. Set a bunch of things here. All right, so in my primary full-time job, I run Business Video School. We obviously help real estate agents with learning to use video. We don't make videos for them. We teach them to make their own social content, things like that. And one of the, we get a lot of excuses. Anybody here ever made an excuse not to make a video? You can be honest with me for a second, right? Like, I've done it 1,000 times, bro. I have made over 4,000 videos, and I still make excuses for not making videos, all right? Like, it's just human nature, okay? One of those excuses, I would ask you to give me your excuses, but we'll be here like the rest of the day, right? So we don't have time for that. But one of those excuses I get a lot is I don't know what to make my videos about, right? Quentin was helping you with that earlier. So we in our business, I said, okay, if that's a problem people have before they make videos, that's the key. You want to help them with before they need your product or service. What AI tool, and I've been loving AI for the past 2.5 years. It was really exciting when I first got to use it, and I started thinking, could I use this to give people video ideas? So the first thing I thought is, can I just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, give me a bunch of ideas for videos? Fair enough, right? And it did that. Cool, now I've got my lead magnet. But then I said, can I make an AI tool, because AI can write computer code. I've never written the computer code, right? Can I get AI to make me a tool that would give someone customized video ideas, right? So this is what we made. This is just the first example. I'll show you several today to kind of help you out with this. Oh, I think I opened the wrong post here. Let me open up the right one. And get the mouse isn't scrolling so well. There we go. All right, so what this tool that I'm going to show you does. Oh, actually, I just need to scroll down. I forget how my own blog works. That's embarrassing. Here We're going to find this post and we're going to show you how this tool works. All right, here it is. Okay, so here's how this works, right? And this is a tool you have access to. If you like what you see, I'll show you how you can get access to it in just a minute. But we are going to get a completely customized content calendar right now. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm a realtor in, let's get, anybody want to come up with some ideas for your business on right now for some videos? Yeah, in the back. Okay, so we'll go out to first-time home buyers. And what part of town do you tend to focus on? Is there a part of the St. Louis area where you do a lot of your business?
City, West County.
Okay, so we'll say, I'm just going to say West County, St. Louis, just as a broad target. It's really weird to type when your hands are like down here, you know? I feel like I'm playing a piano. All right, so we got realtor in West County, St. Louis. That's your business type. This is the important part. Let's describe the customer. Okay, so you said first-time buyer. Okay, so let's put that in. What else do you know about your ideal, right? Not everybody you work with, but like, are there some details about the kind of people you tend to have a lot of fun working with?
Single mothers.
Single mothers. All right, that's very specific. I like it. So single mothers. What age of kids typically? Let's put that in there. Younger kids. Let's say like 3 young kids under, we'll say 6 years old, just to see what it gives us. Let's see, do you have any idea like what they do for a living, things like that? Okay, that's all right. We're just going to go with this, right? So we're going to put some information in. It doesn't really matter how much we put in, but the more info we put in this tool, the better. And then we click this button, generate my custom 2025 video content plan, right? You'll see up here it says running. And basically that's just the tool calculating all, it's basically what's happening behind the scenes is it's taking all the information you just put in, it's combining it with the instructions that I wrote for the AI, right? So you'll see that later when we develop one of these tools from scratch in just a few minutes. We're going to make one of these live and we're going to show you how it works while we're here, okay? All right, there we go. So I just had to kill some time while it finished running. And so here we go. Let's see what it came up with. All right, so I'll just go over a few of these, right? So an idea for January, starting a new journey, first steps for first-time home buyers. How to juggle house hunting with little ones, right? Have you seen many people make a video like that? Probably not, right? But if you have young children, that's probably a useful video, right? Meet your future neighbors in West County, so you can feature some of the best parts of West County, best schools in West County. Again, I know you got to be a little careful about steering. The tool doesn't always know the rules, so make sure you adhere to your rules. Valentine's, right? So look at this, right? Now we're in February, so it's recommending something for Valentine's Day, right? Find a home you love. That's always a fun one. We do that one as a challenge in our school a lot. Creating memories by First Homes Matter, again, catering to that idea of, the young kids and, making that video all about how they're going to grow up. And it's going to be so much fun. And transforming a house to a home, decoration tips, single mothers share, navigating the housing market, understanding real estate terms. Anyway, we're not going to go over all these, right? But you can see that these ideas are completely custom based on this information. And the more information we put in, this is why it's so helpful to know things about your ideal customer, because the more information I put into this box, the more customized the video ideas are going to get. Okay? All right, so that's one example. We're going to go over one that's a little bit more appropriate to your business, but I want you to see something that you may have thought to yourself like, oh, that would be useful to me, right? So I want to kind of start there so you can get the idea from your end. Now, when I was putting this together, I was like, I probably shouldn't show that to them and not let them use the tool if they want to, because there are a few of you that are like, that's kind of cool. I wish I could have access to it. Anybody want to be able to use that tool later when you get home? A few hands? All right, so I'll put that up for a second. I think I put a... All right, there you go. So if you want to scan that, let me make it full screen again. And I apologize. We're going to be doing a lot of like slide switches and so I'll put that up for just a second. If you're not going to hold your phone up anyway, just the person next to you doesn't feel too weird. But scan, and I would just go ahead and process. They'll have a link, click it. There's a form to fill out. Just do that. Don't forget. As that people take pictures of QR codes and presentations, and I'm like, you're just going to forget you took that picture, and like a month later, you'll be looking at it like, what the heck is this on my phone, right? So just fill it out now so you don't forget, all right? But we're going to keep going. So let's talk about a few of the benefits of this. We already kind of touched on this. I don't want to sort of think too long on it. But a couple things you can do with these tools, right? Number one, people custom answer. So here's what's going to happen. This is theory. What I think we're going to see happen over the next 5 years, maybe shorter, is anybody who's using a traditional lead magnet is going to have a harder time getting leads here pretty soon. Because if I can come to your website and I can get your free thing, and it's going to help in a customized way, why do I want the generic information, right? In fact, this is one of the things that Google started to do, which is really bad for us as business owners, is now when you search something on Google, instead of just giving you the results, what does it put at the top of Google when you search for something now? Does anybody know? AI summaries, right? Where does that information come from? A lot of it came from your website. I mean, honestly, they stole it. You should be kind of mad about that, I'll be honest, right? But what they've done is they've trained their AI. A lot of it's probably been on your information, and it summarizes the answer without the. That is not good, right? If you're doing SEO, that's currently a real problem. So with an adaptive lead magnet, we fix that, because instead of people looking for generic information and getting it directly from Google, they're going to have to come to our website in order to get a customized answer that's got your expertise built into it, right? Those answers are not already written, so AI could not have scanned them and internalized the information, right? It's being generated from scratch for the first time when they use your site. You can use these to get leads. This is probably the number one use case for any sort of lead magnet, right? But you can use it to say, hey, I've got this awesome thing, and I'm going to show you an example of one in just a second for real estate. I've got this awesome thing. If you want it, just send me your phone number and email, and I'll send it to you. All right? Easy peasy. You can also have a form. People can fill out a form, and they can access it from there. There's a lot of benefits to doing this stuff, and I think it's worth experimenting with a little bit, all right? So we're going to start talking about some other options. I showed you one that I use in my business that would maybe make sense to you as a customer. So let's look at a few other examples, right? I'm going to show you that first one in just a second. In fact, I'm even going to let you use it for free to generate leads. So keep an eye out for that. The first one, neighborhood matchmaker. You do with people, right? You sit down, hey, what are you looking for? What's important to you? What's your price point? Yada, yada. Okay, well, I think maybe here's some neighborhoods we should look at. Well, now AI can do that. And if AI can do that, you should probably be one of the first people to tell all of your audience and customers that they can come to your website and get that answer. So that's the first one. We're going to demo that in a second, right? Another example for a chiropractor might be something that's going to generate at-home exercises for back pain. Well, yeah, there are some general exercises I should do, but I will tell you, I've had back pain. I've met with chiropractors to address it, so I know this, right? There are some exercises that some people should do, and there's others that other people should do, right? If you're in extreme pain, you're not going to be able to do the same kind of stretches somebody who's in a little bit of pain should do. Different kind of people, different weights, different heights, different sizes, all these things, right? It's going to give them custom ideas. Last one, attorney, and this is an idea from somebody I did a presentation with the other day. I don't know if this is the attorneys, but what is your case worth? Right? How much money are you going to get by suing that person, basically? That's a workers' comp thing usually, or that kind of stuff. Got injured on the job, put in some information. We're going to give you an estimate, guarantee obviously, but an estimate on what that case might be worth, which again, here's the thing, right? If I want that answer, I don't want to have to talk to the lawyer to get it, right? Because they're going to try to sell me. They're going to try to convince me to sign up with them, right? I'm going to get a sales pitch. If I see an ad that says I can get that answer in 2 minutes on your website instead, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I want to do that, right? So those are just a few examples. So let's look at one in more detail, and that's going to be the neighborhood matchmaker. So I'm actually going to, again, pull this one up on the screen. So this is what it looks like, right? So what we do here, the way somebody uses this is they type in their target city. I'm just going to say St. Louis for now. I present this a lot nationally, so it's always funny when I go to this box and I'm like, $350, that's a pretty high price in St. Louis. And people in California are like, what the heck are you talking about, right? So you can't buy a shack for that price. We're going to throw that in. It's like, I don't know what the median price is, and you guys know. What's the median price in St. Louis right now?
$350.
Is it $350 in that range? Okay, so we'll go with that. That's a good average, right? Then we can select some features that we're really looking for in the area, right? We want cafes, we want some gyms because we like to lift. Restaurants, you can see already based on what I'm choosing, this is probably like a younger person, like stays active, has time to go out and eat. Probably not somebody with a bunch of kids running around. So what else, right? We can select our proximity to amenities. I want to be a short drive, but I don't mind having to drive. We are in St. Louis after all, right? And then if they want, they can put in any other details they like. So I'm going to say lots of trees. Now, one thing I want to point out as I'm showing this to you, this disclaimer will explain this, right? But one thing I did when I built this tool is I made sure that it won't violate fair housing laws. So you can't put discriminatory stuff in that box. You can, but it's just not going to work, right? So either sometimes it'll say, hey, I can't answer this for you. If it's more subtle, it'll ignore the parts where you're trying to sort of steer it in a certain direction, okay? So that's important to address. So, but they can, anything else. They can put anything else they want in that box. Some things the AI is going to understand better than others, but anything they want, they can put in there. And then they click the button. Find neighborhood, right? So same thing's happening here. And this, there's a lot of ways to build these tools. This is just how I did them. So that indicator, it says running up here. You can code them all kinds of different ways, right? But usually it's going to take, there we go, about 30 seconds. And what do we get? Southampton, that's not too far from where I live, and I think that is pretty accurate. There are a ton of trees in that area. Nice area too. It is a nice area, right? 350 makes sense. Lindenwood Park, again, similar. And then Clayton. Now, Clayton does have some homes in that range, but there's also a lot of much more expensive houses in that area too, right? But one thing I know for sure is those all have lots of trees in them, right? So there you go. So how do we use a tool like this? And I'm going to talk about this in a second. But let's say you had this on your website. Anybody have any ideas on how you would use it to get people to give you their contact information? Exactly, right? So to get the link to the tool, they have to give you, how do you like to stay in touch with people? Phone calls, emails, texts? What's your preference? Emails? All right, and it's all documented, right? It's all out in the open that way, yeah. So emails, right? So what do you ask for? The email address, right? Now, again, there are rules in marketing, and if you're going to ask for somebody's information, you're going to send them something like this, you should technically, most people don't do this, but technically you should sort of say, hey, is it okay if I send you other stuff too? And almost everybody's going to say yes, and then, now you have them fully opted in, right? But that's one thing you can do. So here, let me give you some examples. In fact, I think I have some slides on this, so I'll just back up so I'm not repeating things again later. All right, so let's just go over these real quick, right? So let's say you have that tool on your website. And I'll be honest with you, it doesn't need to be on your website. If you don't have a website, you can still do this because it's on my website and you can link to it, right? I'm going to let you. In fact, I'll show you how in just a minute here. So you can put it on your website. And again, you can do that for free, which is a little crazy, but I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. But it doesn't have to be, because as long as you have the link to it and someone can use it, that's all they're asking for, right? So what I can do now, and let's go through a few of these, right? So I can go to social media and I can say, hey, I have a tool. You probably shouldn't say I built it, because if you didn't build it, that's not quite true. So I can say I built it because I did, right? But I didn't even build it. Technically, the AI built it. So I guess I'm creates an entire video marketing funnel for your business. Want to try it? This is obviously not the neighborhood matchmaker. I sell to businesses, not to homeowners. So this is my example. Look at how many people wanted this AI tool. Now that's some of me replying. But if you can't see that in the back, that's 82 comments. About half of those were the people asking for the tool in the first place. That's 40 leads. Do you know where I shared this post? In a Facebook group. All right, there's about 10,000 people in this Facebook group, and I have permission to share these kinds of things there. I've also shared the same kind of post on my personal Facebook profile, just to the people who are my friends. So you can imagine if you go to your social media, say, hey, I have an AI tool that helps you find your perfect neighborhood. You just sort of describe what you're looking for in an ideal neighborhood, and it's going to make recommendations for you. Would anybody like to try that? Anybody who comments is a lead, right? Because they're all interested in looking at where they want to live. Now, Does that mean they're all going to move in the next 3 months? Are they all hot leads? No, not necessarily. But there are probably some hot leads in that mix. Those are probably people I should put into my database and nurture on a regular basis and follow up with. So let's say you go this route and you want to just kind of do a post, right? So when those people comment, we're getting back into some social media, hopefully not stepping on Quentin's toes there, right? But as they comment on your post, what do you do next? Let's see who's like an expert at this stuff. What do you do next once they comment? Comment back, right? What do you say when you comment back? Should you just give them the link to the tool? Why not?
Because other people have to respond.
Exactly. It's actually two reasons, but that's a big one, right? If you post the link, who else is going to bother commenting? They're just going to, and the truth is, a lot of people will still comment because they don't know how to even read the comments, so they just like comment like, oh, it was there, I didn't know, right? But yes, a lot of people will skip commenting, and not only do you need them to comment to get the lead, you need them to comment to push the post further, right? I think Quentin was talking about that. The more engagement you get, the more your post is going to spread, right? So we want lots of comments, lots of back and forth. So what I said to those people was, hey, I'm going to shoot you a message. Just make sure you check, and once you see the message, can you come back and respond here so you got it? That's a third comment, right? Once they come back and say, yeah, I got your message. I said, great, happy you did, right? Fourth comment. Now we're turning this into a big chain. So that's the idea. As much back and forth as we can. We're then going to message them, and are we going to message them the link to the tool? No. Why not? What are we going to message instead? We're going to get their contact information, right? Now, technically, we could message them the link, and some people know that, right? But how the game is played. So we say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and email it to you. What's your best email, right? They give it to you, you send the link, and again, that's where you should sort of check in. Now, even if you don't put them into your database and start marketing to them, you give them the link one way or another through email or through the message, they're still a lead because I can follow up with them in Facebook Messenger, right? Once they get that link from me and we start having a conversation there, I can ask them the next day, hey, what answers did you get from the tool? What neighborhoods did it recommend? You don't have to have that information. You won't have that information, privacy reasons, right? But they will. They'll have gotten those suggestions. You say, which of those neighborhoods were most interesting? I can send you a list of homes for sale in that neighborhood, right? Or I can give you some more pointers on parts of that neighborhood you might want to consider, or similar neighborhoods you might want to look at, right? We continue the conversation, and after a few back and forths, they start thinking of you as their real estate agent, right? So where do we post this? I'm going to give you a few examples already mentioned. Your own social profiles. You can post an image. You can post a screen recording of the tool. That tends to work really well because people see it and they're like, oh, wow, that's cool. Like I can guide my own neighborhood matchmaker. It's literally right? So that's a good way to do it. Post in groups. Now, I will give you one thing to consider when you post in groups. Don't violate the rules of the group, please. Okay, don't be that agent that tries to hijack some other agent's group because, that happens all the time, right? So be careful. I don't want you to get kicked out of a group, but there are a lot where you're allowed to do these things. Here's my favorite. This is literally my favorite version of this, is comment on other posts offering people your free tool. Right? So somebody says, hey, I saw the other day, actually, I got a couple responses. I'm not an agent, but I figured I'd try it. Somebody goes, hey, I'm thinking about moving to St. Louis. What should I consider when I'm doing that? And I said, hey, I have a tool I made that helps you find your ideal neighborhood. Would that be helpful as you're thinking about moving to St. Louis? Of course, right? And then here's the best part about that. Other people read the comments, and they ask for the tool as well, right? You're not just getting that first lead. I've had a couple of these. I had one I did in a really big Facebook group. And it wasn't violating the rules because I was just answering a comment. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I had like 40 more people had me delete the post. It was not my post. Somebody else's post got deleted because too many people were responding to my comments, all right? So that's how powerful this stuff can be because people, they're hungry for this, right? I think most of us have used AI in some form or another, but we love the idea of things that are custom for certain use cases if we have that problem, right? So that's one of the ways to do it. I'm going to go over a few more. I want to get into some of I told you I'd show you some code. So this is an example. I'm just going to briefly mention it because, again, this is not real estate, but just to show you, I ran an ad campaign offering our content calendar tool. Got 804 leads over like a couple months. I kind of ran it slow, a couple bucks a day, nothing too expensive. $3.23 a lead. Now, lead cost is basically meaningless. It's all about what you do with the lead and what it means and all that kind of stuff. But we were getting name, emails, and phone numbers of real estate agents who are interested in video marketing for $3.23 a piece. For us is very good, right? You can decide if you like those kinds of ad costs or not. You can do email campaigns. I mean, talk about an easy way to get the people in your email database to raise their hand. You know, when you send emails, just say, hey, are you thinking about selling your house? Some people will respond. It's not necessarily a bad thing to do, but they get that stuff all the time, right? That's like your stereotypical email from a real estate agent. Hey, now I have something different I can say that cuts through the noise, right? What is this AI matchmaker? What are they talking about, right? Those people are raising their hand, basically saying, I want to talk more about looking for houses, right? So you follow up on that. You give them the link and you follow up on the rest. Text message campaigns. Same thing. Now, this is not a spam campaign, okay? Don't just start pulling up random numbers and texting this to them. Oh, it would work, but don't do that. That's not allowed, right? People you already have in your database, people you have a phone number for. But again, any of them, this is fair game. I'll tell you right now, there are leads that are ignoring you that will respond to this because they don't want to have that sales conversation. But you give them a link to your website, you can take a link to your website, and I'm going to get something of value in return, all right? So what we're going to do next, I'm going to show you how I made these tools, okay? And this, now the good news is I'm going to show you how I do that, an option if you want. Again, this is very much optional, obviously, but if you want, let me scroll, here it is. If you want this tool for free, I'm going to do a challenge next week. I just, before I was doing, kind of get all of it. I'm going to give you access to the Neighborhood Matchmaker for free. I'm going to teach you how to use it to market over the course of 5 days. Give you all the social media content, the video clips, the marketing materials to post and share, to pull leads. And what I ask for is how many leads you get, if they turn into business or not. Right? But so scan this right now. I'll try to remember to show this at the end too. I want to do this before I show you the code because the code's a little scary. The code is not a part of this though, right? So if you like the idea of that neighborhood matchmaker and you want to be able to either A, put it on your site, or you want a way to use it that doesn't require you to put it on your site, we're going to be doing that next week. It's going to take about 5 minutes a day. If you do want to put it on your website, it might take more like 15 minutes the first day and then 5 minutes the rest of the days. All right, last part. How the heck did I make these tools? So here we go. So here's what I want you to do. If you want to do this too, we're going to go to Claude. And let me see if I can kind of work through this real quick with you. It's going to make me log in. So, well, that's nice. That's good cover for while I log in now. Let's see if this will work. All right, perfect. Oh, it's going to make me, my phone is in the back, so let me text myself and all that. Let me see if I can just do this with ChatGPT. That might be a little bit quicker. And this is one of the problems with this presentation. There's like 5 different websites I have to have open at the same time. All right, so we can work with the free ChatGPT for now. So let's say you want to build one of these from scratch, and all I really want you to say right now, you don't need to know all the technical steps here. I can help you if you want to build your own tool. I can teach all this to you later. This is probably too much to learn kind of live here in a presentation. But here's what you do. I guess let me ask this first. Who here has used ChatGPT? Man, OpenAI is killing it, right? Like that's impressive. Almost everybody here has, right? What have you used it for? Give me a couple quick examples. Property descriptions. Anybody use it for property descriptions, right? We've all probably done that, right? Social, anybody done like emails, social posts, things like that? Okay. Anybody written code with AI yet? Yeah, a little bit, right? Okay, a couple of you are. This is my favorite use case, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to set it up. I'm going to say act as my Python coding expert. There's going to be typos, and I don't care. The AI doesn't care either. So don't judge me, right? Let's see here. I'm going to give you some example code to use to develop new AI-powered tools that I will host on Hugging Face. The AI industry has a lot of weird business names. HuggingFace.co, all right? Let's see here. I will describe I hate typing in front of groups of people. It is like the most embarrassing. I'm going to sit down because it is like the angle here is not great. All right, so let's see. I will describe the new tool and you'll write the code for it based on the template code. Only change what's necessary for the new tool functionality. All right. That's good enough for now. Here is the code. So what I'm going to do now, this is the shortcut. This took me months to put together, all right? And it's easier to do now than it was. That's one of the frustrating things about AI is like you spend all this time learning to do something with it, and then it automates the whole thing like 6 weeks later. And you're like, well, at least I learned something that's completely relevant now, but, whatever. I challenged my brain in the meantime. So here's where we're going to get the code that we're going to use. You're going to steal it from me. All right, so this is my profile, and again, I'm moving quickly here, okay, so this is all stuff that I can teach you more outside of this. Again, the challenge we're doing involves none of this. You don't need to know how to do any of this. I just want to show it to you so you can give it a whirl if you want to. So this is my profile on Hugging Face. It's just N-Ni-House, if you want to write that down. You can find all the tools I've made. And I got a bunch in here, right? So let's see here. Let's try this one. This is another really cool one. I wish I had time to sort of show it to you. If you want access to it, let me know. This one makes an entire video marketing funnel plan based on your website. So you just put in your website URL and it gives you an entire marketing plan. It's really cool. So what we're doing though is we're going to copy the code. So we go to Files, we go to app.py. Look, oh, there it is. I should have warned you. There's some code. Oh, scary, right? Python code. Now, what's interesting about this, and we won't go to too much detail here, but you see all this stuff in here, it's just written in plain English. That's because that's how AI works, right? So the code is basically just a framework for instructions that you write in English, right? So if you do want to develop one of these tools for yourself and you ever want to make changes to it, these are the parts that you can change manually, right? So for example, like I say in here, you've spent 15 years helping businesses build video marketing funnels that convert, and your approach is influenced by these 4 famous people. AI wrote this because now I look at it, I'm like, there's no women in there. That's not good. We should probably add at least one woman to the mix so it gets better results, right? But these 4 dudes that are known for doing this stuff, it's going to act like them. It's going to use their experience and expertise, right? It's got instructions and all the different things the tool should create. So if you really want to get in there, this is where you add your expertise. Right? So you can say, I always, when I'm analyzing, these situations, I always ask 3 questions, and then based on those 3 questions, I come up with an answer based. That information can all be passed to the AI, and it can utilize that. So what we're doing for now, though, is we're just copy all of this. That's the idea. If I can scroll, there we go. All right, so we're going to copy this out. This is the good part, right, is that you don't have to know how to write any code. You're going to steal it from me. Let's see here. Copy. And then we bring this over to our chat. Nope, I didn't mean to hit enter, but here we go. We'll go ahead and paste it in. Doesn't really matter, you just keep talking to it. There's the code. And now it says, okay, thanks for sharing the template. Now let's work on building a new AI tool. That is it. So now you are just going to describe the tool you want, right? So we already have a neighborhood matchmaker. Let's not remake that one. And it might be a little tricky. I can see if I can log into my account and get an API key. So I'm not quite sure if we'll be able to test all this. But what's another idea? Let's see if we can sort of make something real quick. What's another tool that might be useful to the type of home your business? Any ideas? Happy hours? All right, I like it. That's a lot more expected, okay? Tell me more, what do you mean by that? What do you want this tool to do?
outdoor.
So help you find like the best happy hours for you, right? Because remember, we want to customize it to whoever uses the tool, right? So let's say, all right, I want a tool that recommends the best happy hour for the user. So what kind of info could they put in? They're going to put in a location, right? So let's do that. So they'll input a location, food preferences. Let me say that. Like I don't know, environment they like, and types of drinks they prefer. The tool then recommends happy hours in the area they should check. All right, let's see what happens. This is the coolest part. Now watch what happens, all right? Look at that. It is writing computer code. That is Python code. You can't type that fast, right? So I mean, look at this. It's going to take about a minute, 30 seconds, something like that. It's still going. It's getting longer. So how long did that take us? 3 minutes, right? I mean, this stuff is insane. It's done. There you go. That's code, all right? So what we would do with this, and again, like I said, I don't know that we have time for all of these steps, but what I would do with this is I copy it out, come back to Hugging Face. What you can do with these tools is you can duplicate them. And since I'm not logged in, this may give me some trouble. Yeah, it's going to ask me to log in. Let me see if I can, I don't know if I have time to get logged in. This is the hard part. But what we do is we duplicate the space, all right? And we just replace this code with the other code. And then we save it, all right? Now, there's a couple other things. You're going to have to get your own API key from OpenAI and put that in there so that it has your account powering it. You can't steal my account. That's the only step here you can't copy. But you put in your own API key, and now you have your own tool. So I really want to see if we can do this. I didn't want to have to keep making Brandon sing earlier, so I logged into less accounts than I probably should have. But let me see if I can get logged into this one real quick, and we'll see if we can do a little bit. Let's do this. Why don't we open things up to questions for a couple minutes while I fill in a couple passwords, see if I can show you the final step in this process. So any questions so far on what we're doing here? Yeah, in the back there.
How does Perplexity relate to Google? Can you explain the difference between those two and ChatGPT?
Yes, I can. Okay, so Google.
So Nick, you want to repeat the question, please?
Yeah, so the question, and here's my Achilles heel, trying to do two things at once, right? So we're going to see if I can do this. But the question was, how does Google and Perplexity, how are they related to each other? What was the third one you mentioned?
That was it.
Okay, so Google and Perplexity. So Google is, we all know Google is, right? Major tech platform. They have their own AI. It's called Gemini. I don't think it's all that great personally, but it does do some cool things. So I will, for instance, give you one example of a cool thing that Google's AI does, and that is, that's always fun. Didn't work. All right, let me try it. Let me tell you this. Has anybody used Notebook LM? Does that sound familiar? Anybody write that down? Notebook LM. Here we go. If you go to Notebook LM and you have a YouTube video, something like that, and I'm not, just look at what I'm doing right here. So I'm trying to log into some stuff. This is not coordinating to what I'm saying, which is part of why I'm having trouble doing two things at once. But if you go to Notebook LM, that's a tool from Google, can take YouTube videos and summarize them for you, right? So you can for example, you can go out, find all your favorite YouTube videos that other people made, put them into Notebook LM, say a few things about how you write, right? And then it will make scripts for you based on those videos, kind of like what I just did, right? You give it some examples. So that's one cool thing that Google offers. That's just sort of a side note, but it's worth noting. Now, how are they related? Google, I think that we found out that they've invested in Anthropic recently. They might have invested in Perplexity, but Perplexity is a competitor. So I don't know that they're invested in them. Perplexity is AI, based search, right? So what it's doing is similar to Google. It's going to search the internet, but it's going to take what it finds, it's going to try to answer your question directly. So they're very similar in that way, right? Because Google summarizes your search at the top as well. But that's one thing that Perplexity does. You can also use several different AI models through Perplexity. In fact, maybe I'll go to that website just so you can see it in just a second. But let me finish getting logged in here, and then I'll do that. Sorry, I'm not great at answering questions while doing other things. We're trying to understand. Compete with each other. Perplexity is the AI version of Google in some ways. All right, so I'm going to look up one more password, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to try poorly to answer one more question. What was the other question? Who had another question? Yeah.
If you could tell us where you're pulling the good school information for your neighborhood matchmaker.
So, yeah, the neighborhood matchmaker is basically going to pull all that information from the AI itself, right? So like when you talk to ChatGPT and you ask it, it's all going to be based on the training data. Now, you can make versions of these tools, and I kept it simple for a lot of reasons, but you can make versions where it can tap into anything else you can imagine, because it can write the code, right? So you can basically do anything you want. So I would ask you, like, is there a source of that data you'd like to have it used that you'd prefer? Is there like a website or something you like to find that kind of information on?
I mean, as an agent, I am hesitant to, when people say I want to be in a good school, I typically will send them to like greatschools.net or, other places where they can get rankings that are not coming from me.
Okay.
So I try to be very careful because I don't want anything that's steering them into any one district.
Right.
So I was just kind of wondering where that's coming from, or, all y'all agents, shout it out what your thoughts are on this, but because I don't want to get caught in,
Right.
So, yeah.
So one of the things that the tool that I built into it is that it says, like, so for one, you can make a version that doesn't say that. They can still put that information in though. And I know it's something people typically are looking for, right? So we try to include it. But you can have whatever boxes you want there, right? And if you want to also tell the tool, don't take into account any sort of evaluation of schools or link to that website in the results. Say, hey, I know you wanted to find schools, but I'm just going to give this to you, and this is how you can go do so. That's fine too. Also keep in mind, the other disclaimer is that this is an AI-powered tool. It does sometimes make mistakes, and this is not my personal advice, right? So one of the things I recommend, this is a step beyond what I was planning to show today, is I always want to make a video of me using the tool and put it at the top of the landing page. So if you put this on your website, I would make a video with the AI tool in it, right? So let me see if there it is. I'd record myself using it, explain it to them, and I would say all of that. So I would say, look, this tool is a good starting point, based on a good idea generator. It's going to get the ball rolling. It's not going to give you all the information. It's AI powered, so it may make mistakes. It might hallucinate. And if it does, so what I want you to do is once you get the recommendations of neighborhoods that you should look at, I want you to scroll to the bottom of the page and fill out my form so that I can talk to you more about those neighborhoods, right? So we're sort of making it clear to people that these tools are not replacements for us. Because that's the real risk here, right? Is that there are companies in the next 1 to 2 years are going to try to replace not just you, everybody, every job we can imagine. They're going to try to replace it with AI. So this allows us to basically step in between that process and say, no, look, I'm going to help you with AI, but it's still being provided by me. And as soon as somebody sees your face in a video, now you're a real person, right? So if somebody found me on social media because of a post and they clicked on it and they came here, watched my video, and they saw my little tour of the tool, now I'm the person providing it, not just some random website. And that's huge psychologically. Like I said, I'm not talking too much about video today, but that stuff's a huge deal. Okay, so I think I'm logged into all the stuff I want to do. So let me show you how you would do this again if you want to, right? So we duplicate the space. We give it a name. So this is going to be Happy Hour Finder. Something like that. Oh, and I think again, because these are like very nerdy tech platforms. You can't have spaces in the name, right? That's fun. All right, then the other thing I need to do is I need an API key from OpenAI. So I know that's more technical than you're probably used to. All it means is that it's a line of code, and you see me copying it there and putting it in. It's just a line of code that accesses my OpenAI AI account, which is you can register, you have to put in $5 to get started, and that just says, okay, now whenever it puts a query, they use my tool, it's going to use my AI account to power that tool. That's all that's doing, okay? So what's happening right now is it's rebuilding, and so the last step I need to do here, and this is the moment of truth, so we're going to see, let's see, where did my code go? Oh, it was over there. I'm going to copy our code, and this doesn't always work on the first try. So please bear with me if we get a bunch of errors. They can be fixed. And this is where using Claude tends to be better. And I might try it with Claude next if this doesn't work. You got to highlight all the existing code. This is a different tool, obviously. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that out. We're going to paste our new code in, and we're going to save the changes, all right? And then we come back to the app itself. Oh, I thought I clicked save. Let's do that again. I did click save. What is it? What's the problem? I don't know if the internet connection's giving us problems or something. Huh. Well, let's see if it got it.
Guys, I know, sorry to interrupt, that's very loud. I know we've only got about 10 minutes left on this, so maybe while Nick's doing that, does anybody have any questions? I can walk up with the mic and we can try to answer those.
Yeah, so let's answer any questions. This will hopefully build in the background. It looks like it is building now. So, all right, a few more questions. Yeah.
How do you deal with engagement issues?
What does that mean, engagement issues?
So you're posting on to Facebook, you're posting to your X account.
Sure.
And you're not getting impressions, your Facebook is not maybe getting to every of your friends.
Sure. Well, there's a lot of answers to the question, and that might be one Quentin should answer since he was talking about the social stuff. I will say engagement issues are usually because you're not saying anything that's worth engaging with, right? No offense, but typically that's what it comes down to. If you're sharing stuff that doesn't ask people to engage, they're less likely to engage, right? So I'll give you my number one hack for engagement, right? Ask controversial questions, all right? Some of you are probably Facebook friend like, yeah, he does that, you know, like it gets kind of ridiculous. People will politicize things that are not political, which is not fun, but you know, that's what they do now. But if you ask controversial questions, that doesn't mean you have to be offensive. It doesn't mean it has to be like, oh, I hate this person, I love this, whatever. But just things that people are going to have a strong opinion on, right? So for example, the other day, I got a lot of engagement on a post that just said, apparently almost 50% of people still support daylight saving time. Like, why is that, right? And everybody, there's like 25 people commented on an opinion. So if you are ever struggling with engagement, questions are an easy win, right? So I like video because video does a different thing for you and it can get some engagement too. But text-based questions tend to get the most engagement, right? So that's just one thing to try, right? So think of like, what are a couple things your ideal customer would have strong opinions about, and then ask questions on those topics. Make sense? Cool. Other questions? It's kind of hard to scan the whole room. I gotta look different, head on a swivel. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna answer that by showing the tool that we just made. All right, so everybody look up here for a second.
Question repeat.
I will in a second, yeah. This is the tool we just made, right? Remember, neighborhood finder? It's done, it's already, now I didn't test it yet, so it may not work when we actually try it. You can't see it really well, I can try to maybe zoom in, I'll read it real quick, right? But it says, tell us about your preferences and location. We'll recommend 3 great happy hour spots nearby. So location, type of food you prefer, what type of environment, which is actually a drop-down menu that it made. I didn't tell it to do that, right? Made a little drop-down because that's a little easier for the customer. And then what kind of drinks do you prefer? And then you click the button and it finds your happy hour, right? So to answer the question was, what is Hugging Face? And again, I don't want you to be intimidated. I know most people see this and they're like, oh my God, that's cool. I'm very overwhelmed. That's very normal, okay? Hugging Face is, let me think about it this way. It is a platform for experimental AI tools. The reason I use it is that it's free at a base level. So again, if you want to make your own, now let me recap. If you do the challenge we're doing next week, you won't have to do this because you can use the existing neighborhood matchmaker tool. Okay, so none of this is necessary. This is a more advanced step you can take. But if you do want to take that step, Hugging Face is one of the most trafficked websites in the world at this point. It's one of the most popular websites in the AI space, and it's where all of the experiments are put. So it's very nerdy. Like I'll show you what I mean by very nerdy. If you go to the home page, most home pages are like, you know, you navigate and they make a lot of sense. This is their home page. Like, what on earth is going on here, right? Like this, you come here and you're like, what am I supposed to do next, right? So that's Hugging Face for you, but it is full of fascinating AI tools. If you like to play around with this stuff, you can register an account for free. You can host your tools for free. You can make them public. You can keep them private. So if you don't want anybody else to be able to use them on the website, you don't have to let them. But that's what Hugging Face is. Their mission is to democratize AI. So a lot of what they do is focused on providing free services and things like that. And it is, if you get into AI, you're going to end up touching Hugging Face at some point. All right, folks. Well, there you go. So that's the tool we built. I'm going to try it. I don't know that it's going to work on the first go because usually we have to give a little feedback, especially when I use ChatGPT. So let's see. What type of food? I'm going to say burgers, casual, and beer.
Let's see the food with the burgers.
Well, I'll do that. Yeah, and it gave me an error, so I'll take the error. But anyway, apologize. I'd use Claude instead. And if you want to hang around, I know everybody's got to leave, so we'll wrap up in a second here. But if you want to hang around, I will use Claude, and I'll show you the final results of the tool here in just a second. Before we wrap up, I'll put this on the screen one more time. And then here's the other thing. I do want to mention this real quick, folks. If you know any other groups that you think should see this kind of presentation, and again, you know, maybe we talk about the neighborhood matchmaker, maybe we talk about how to make your own tool. I can come in and demo. I've made like 70 of these because they're that easy to make, right? So I've made a lot of these, different industries, different niches, things like that. I love talking about it. I love presenting it. I love to talk to any other groups. So just a couple quick examples like Chamber of Commerce, real estate offices, Rotary clubs, you know, marketing, networking groups, things like that. So if you have any groups in mind that would find this useful, let me know. That is my personal phone number, so please don't spam me or add me. You know, I'm on a lot of real estate lists as is. I mean, so I'm okay with that, but don't abuse it too much, all right? And then again, one more time, I'll put this up on the screen in case you do want to register. We're going to start next Monday. So just a quick recap. Doing this 5-day challenge, super simple. I'm going to give you free access to the neighborhood matchmaker, and you get to use it for 5 days to generate as many leads as you can. And anybody you give it to, they're going to be able to keep access. We're not going to take it away or anything like that. If you want, I will even let you put it on your own website for free. Very simple. You don't have to write any code. It's just an embed code, and you just paste it on your site. It's really simple. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm just trying to gather data. I'm trying to see how effective these tools are. This is very early experimental type stuff. But if you'd like to participate, that is there. All right, we have like 2 more minutes left. Time for one more question maybe, or what do you guys think? You're in charge, so I'm looking at you. Yeah, good? All right. Anybody other questions? Yeah.
So to do this, what kind of subscription you would need? I know how it's set free, but what else would you need?
So the kind of costs, like what kind of subscriptions do you need? Technically, I would recommend a subscription to Claude. So ChatGPT is just easier to use without logging in, and I just used it because I didn't have a lot of time to log into things right now. But Claude is really good for writing code. So Claude 3.7 Sonnet is the model. Very good at writing code. That's the one I prefer. That one you can use for free, so you don't have to pay for it. If you want to subscribe, you have some additional tools and features. The other thing you're going to need, this is the most important one, is you're going to need an API key for an AI. So if you want to use open, if you like ChatGPT, you can use their models. You just search for OpenAI API. In fact, I can put that back up on the screen so you know what it looks like. So when you get there, you know you're in the right place, right? So this was this website here. So OpenAI, and literally if you just want to type this in platform.openai.com, that'll take you there. That is not a subscription, but you do have to pay for it. The way that tool works is you get charged every time somebody uses your tool. And it depends on how much they put in. The more characters they put in, the more it costs you. But here's the good news. Anybody want to make a quick guess how much it costs every time somebody uses one of these tools?
3 cents.
3 cents? It's pretty close. Typically, it's under a penny. Often it's under a penny. Sometimes it's more, right? But a lot of times it's like a fraction of a penny, which is totally mind-blowing. They're getting a completely customized answer like they're talking to a human, and it costs us less than a cent. Sometimes a little bit more, right? One of the cool things that came out about a month ago is a Chinese model that is like a fraction of that cost, literally 3% of that cost. That's why, NVIDIA, when their stock dropped really bad like a month ago, that was why, because this other tool came out. So costs are going down. So as cheap as that is, they're just continuing to go down, which is getting outside the discussion today, but like I do think AI is actually going to destroy a lot of value in the long run, because I think it's ultimately going to be extremely cheap and able to do a lot of what we charge people a lot of money for right now. So again, one reason to maybe be involved in it, right? Like if you own one of the AI companies, you'll be fine, right? But if you're going to get replaced by AI in some capacity or another, that might be bad. But yeah, so that answers the question. Those are the two things, right? So maybe a ChatGPT or Claude account, an OpenAI API account, and that's it. Nothing else. So typically, I've had people, like hundreds of people using these tools, and I think I spent $10. Crazy. I really like, that's why I'm so excited when I started doing this, is I saw how affordable it was to give somebody an entire custom content calendar. And I was like, if it's this cheap, people are going to give it away for free. I'm going to be the first person to do that. That was kind of the idea. Okay. I think we're kind of out of time. I will hang around. Okay. So I will stay here. I'm going to do two things. I'll answer any other questions you have. And I also will finish making the tool so we can make it actually work here, because